Hi, family, friends, people around the world. I have a topic or a subject that I think has been very challenging for me to explain what it is about and why this subject has been really bothering me a lot. So, tonight, I came to the realization that really nobody is really going to understand what I'm going through by explanation simply because they're not having that experience. And over the years, I've been looking for some type of explanation as to why am I experiencing what I'm experiencing, and why is it that no one else is having that experience? And in my observation, I realized that people are having that experience, but it's not as intense as it is, as mine is. Okay, so when I recently came to that conclusion, it was quite comforting to me because I was very troubled. When I'm explaining to my wife, I'm explaining to my family, my friends, what's going on with me, and they're looking at me like, fellow, we don't know what you're talking about. You're kind of like out there, you know? So that's pretty much how it made me feel. I mean, they hear me and they can relate to what I'm saying, but they have no clue of what I'm talking about. So my condition, or this condition that I'm talking about, really is very intense. Okay. And I'm realizing that other people are not experiencing on the levels that I am. And if they are, they're probably going through the same thing of trying to be able to figure out how to deal with it, what to do, in order to just function every day and be able to, go about your daily activities without having this major, I'll say, interference in your life. Okay. Because that's exactly what I would define this experience, or this condition, as being a major interference. So I have discovered over the years that there has been a major atmospheric interference crisis that has been growing exponentially in over the years in my observation. And the only way that I realize this is because as this atmospheric interference grew, it affected my body, and it affects my body. And that's how I can tell what is going on in our atmosphere. And You can say it's strange, but you know, really and truly, I mean, we all are connected to each other. Whether we can see it metaphysically or not, whether we're aware of it or not, we all are connected to each other. And of course, some are connected more to others in a stronger way. You know, there's a stronger connection. However, I must tell you, in our connectivity, there is what I would call another form of connection that is not biological. I would say that they would call it artificial. It's not a natural connection. But what's amazing about that is that we're connected to that too. Okay? So the way I see that our biological chemistry or our biological makeup is functioning, and the way it's designed, it can interact on all those levels, okay? Both biological and both technological. And we can go even more and say, some people want to say spherical. There's a connection there. Some use the word galactically. Some uses the word heavenly. You know, there is that type of energy that connects us all. And some of us are more in tune with it than others. And as far as it's aware of being aware of it, okay, some of us not aware of it, but we know we're connected to it. Okay, so this big, huge atmospheric interference that we're dealing with on an everyday basis has become a passion of mine because it disturbs my everyday function as a human being on this planet. So that's why I'm sharing this information in hopes that somehow we can arrest this problem and communicate more with each other to figure out how to just basically get rid of what is not beneficial for our well-being. So that being said, I want to share some thoughts that came to me tonight. And as a result of that, it led right to what I was thinking. Okay. I wanted to understand how to protect myself from what I'm identifying now as the atmospheric interference. It's called electromagnetic frequencies. Okay. Another name for it is electromagnetic radiation. Okay. So I'm actually in a process of working on a home where I made the owner aware that while I was there, I had the most greatest challenge to just work there. And I couldn't understand why. And when I figured out why it was hard for me to work there, I made them aware that they have very, very high amounts of electromagnetic radiation frequencies in this area where they bought this property. And it's very close to the electrical grid line, the ley lines, which was less than a mile down the road. And that was the cause of all the interference I was having while I was working there. So the owner asked me, well, is there a way to be able to block these harmful electromagnetic waves or frequencies or radiation? Is there a way to block that? And I said, well, that's something I've got to look into. So tonight I was actually led to see that there is scientific information out here that gives a very definitive explanation for what I'm terming as radiation poisoning. Okay, and I'm terming it that because I was sick for about 2 weeks with radiation poisoning, and I knew that's what it was. So all of this we're going through and dealing with on a daily basis has literally brought this to my attention as far as my health and my being able to think clearly, and it's a major issue, you know. So I'm going to read a few statements that I found scientifically, what information we have access to, basically to keep ourselves informed and aware, which is really our only defense right now, to shut off these type of communicative technologies is impossible, because we live by it. We have to have it for our jobs and our everyday living, everyday activities. So it's impossible to shut it down. So at least right now. However, so we have to figure out how to get through this right now. Okay? So just keep that in mind. So the other thing that I discovered is the reason why no one really understands where I'm coming from and what I'm experiencing as I'm trying to explain to them is because they can't hear. They cannot hear what I'm saying. Or they're not experiencing what I'm trying to explain to them. So there's no way for them to relate to it. So I feel bad for my wife, because I'm always complaining to her about what I'm going through to the point where she just can't hear anymore. Because, I mean, what can she do? I mean, really, she can't do anything for me. She can't take it away, even though I'm telling her this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I'm going through. And even to go to a doctor, it makes no sense, because they don't know, they have not gotten any training on electromagnetic frequencies, electromagnetic radiation, any type of, they're not experts on that. So they don't know the effects of that. They only know what they know about the body. If something goes wrong, you have symptoms, they've been trained to treat those symptoms with the different medications that they've been taught to use. And so that's not going to help in my particular situation. So I definitely have to take a much more logical approach to this, and I think it's best to identify what it is. So for me, I had an experience some years ago, back in 2018, where I actually put together what I'm experiencing every day, and I'm going to define it in a minute, in connection with what they term as 5G technology. Okay, and the reason why I say what they term as 5G technology, I mean 5G. The reason why I'm saying that is because 5G technology, yeah, it's the technology that it specifically relates to the use of telephone. Okay, but I'm letting you know that that's not what I discovered. Okay, and this is some years ago. Okay, so for the sake of just you being able to, the audience who's listening to me, to identify what this technology I'm talking about, and I call it atmospheric interference. Okay, so let's call it atmospheric technological interference. Okay, let's just call it that. That's exactly what it is. All right. It's bigger than just cell phone towers. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to now give you a demonstration before I do these readings on the sound that I'm actually hearing constantly, all right, in my head. And this is 24/7. And it all relates to this atmospheric technological interference, okay, that we have, that we call electromagnetic frequencies, electromagnetic radiation, and I'm hoping that that would give you a much better presentation of what I'm experiencing on a daily basis, and why this is, I'm considering this is a crisis, and it has yet to be fully addressed and properly dealt with. Like I said, this is the sound that I hear in my head every day. This most annoying sound I hear 24/7, and it never goes away. And I did my best in letting you hear what that sounds like. I recreated the sound that's in my head on my keyboard. And when I tried to find the note, like the highest note on the keyboard, it wasn't high enough. The pitch on the sound that I was using wasn't high enough. So I literally had to go in and, well, after I recorded it, I used a program to record, and I was able to modify that sound to make it sound so close to what I'm hearing in my head. So now that just gives you an idea, just what I go through on a daily basis, and why it makes it so difficult for me to even process information. I know it's only by the grace of God and His mercy, and it's more than just His love, but it's His power that He has over in my life as to the reason why I am still alive and I'm functioning to some degree, okay? Because my body, for some reason, has a very very, very strong connection with all these signals that's being emitted in our atmosphere. That's the best way I can say it. Okay. Yeah, I just have a very, very strong connection. Is it how God made me? Probably is. Is there other people like me? Probably is. But if they're going through what I'm going through, they can't figure out what this is. Okay. And they can't figure out how to deal with it. Okay. So, as I was explaining before, for me, it's very intense. So what I notice with all this high amount of radiation that's going through us, okay? So like I said, you can call it electromagnetic waves, electromagnetic frequencies, electromagnetic radiation. There's even electromagnetic pulses. All of this is being released on humanity throughout the whole earth on a daily basis, and it never gets shut off. And so we have people who are developing chronic illnesses, okay, as a result of this. So many are dropping dead, okay, where their heart might have stopped, or they create blood clots in their system, okay. You hear more people having brain tumors all of a sudden, okay? And it affects us all differently because our immune systems are different. And for me, I've always been sickly as a child, okay? So my immune system was already compromised. It wasn't at its best. And I kept it a secret from my family, pretty much. And it's not so much I kept it a secret, but I've just been dealing with that, you know. That's why being healthy was a big issue for me, because I realized I didn't have the stamina nor the agility and the, as most young people have when they go and play sports. That's one of the reasons why I never played sports. I loved it. I was good at it, but I didn't play sports because of that. And so the piano became my favorite sport. And that's how I would sit and exercise my mind, my creativity. So that was how I got through my childhood, you know. So what I also noticed as I got older, I had this ability to pick up on radio waves. At the time that we were using we mostly, play our music from, radio devices. I forgot what they're called. It's been so long. Yeah, but radio devices. Um, and let's say that, you know, different stations are playing songs. I used to be able to pick up on what song is being played. Um, and when I go turn on the radio, I can actually find the station that is playing the song that I'm hearing in my head. So it's almost like I am becoming um, a receiver, you know. I am becoming a receiver, um, for the radios. So I'm just like, I wonder if anybody else is having that experience because that happened to me so many times. Okay. So that's just giving an idea of how I respond to the um, um, the signals that are being emitted in our atmosphere. um, and probably that's the reason why uh, what's happening right now is so intense to me because I have this ability to receive sounds, okay, in our atmosphere, whether it's being generated by um, by signals, okay. I can hear sounds, and to be honest, actually, I can hear sounds over people talking. I can actually hear, like, I have some kind of sonographic. Um, Actually, I do have sonographic memory too, because I can hear a song one time, and I already know it. So that's kind of interesting there too. So anyway, uh, so I'm just saying, um, with this ability to be able to pick up on these signals and my body being a receiver, I'm picking up on all of um, the sounds that vibrates from these um, these signals that I'm calling electromagnetic pulses, electromagnetic radiation, electromagnetic waves. I think I forgot one more. So I'm picking it up, and it's very disturbing. So sometimes it really makes me weak, where I have no energy, with the large amounts of radiation that passes through me on a daily basis, whether from the cell phone towers, whether from, you know, devices. Everything right now, everywhere we go, is always giving off some type of EMR, electromagnetic radiation. Every device, and it's harmful for us. I mean, man, people are getting sick. People are dying from this, and so I just thank God I'm still alive. Obviously, I'm here for a reason, for God's glory. Um, and every day that I wake up, I have breath in me and life. I'm very thankful to God to be alive. I notice that, um, if things are happening bad in my life, it triggers the sound to make it more annoying and worse, where I can easily become irritable. Because hearing that sound really can make you very, very irritable. And um, I can just imagine with all the craziness that's happening right now, where people are just becoming less intolerable with each other, um, where they're uh, finding themselves getting angry quicker, getting upset at someone. Um, it has escalated, okay? It literally has escalated. And that's why we have a lot of fighting now, a lot of, you hear of the shootings. They're not explaining that most of these people are not even in their right minds, you know, but they're as it's as if they're being driven by all of this negative impact of all of these atmospheric interference that is truly disturbing their being, and they're not able to properly assess a situation or deal with it the best way. So they find themselves always fighting. And it's only because our cells are on constant attack. Every cell in your body is on constant attack by this radiation. So you're not going to be in the best of moods. So it's a challenge to be able to overcome all of these negative, very, very negative influence that is happening in our life. It's a great challenge. It's a great challenge. And I saw this years ago because I saw how it was affecting me, and I'm very aware of what sound can do because I am a minister of sound. That's what I do for a living. I understand sound. I understand when sound disturbs you. I understand when sound can heal you. Okay? And the sounds that they're putting, the signals that they're putting out here, by the time it gets to you, those frequencies, those vibrations are very, very, very disturbing. There's nothing healing about it. Now, technically, they can make it healing. These same frequencies, if they so chose to, they can make it healing for us. But because there's an agenda that is not for our well-being, that is the reason why this is not happening. And so we're fighting just to live every day, literally. And so not only are we at war within ourselves, but we find ourselves at war with each other. And we just need to be mindful of that and make sure that we keep ourselves in high vibrations. And one of the ways that I do it is by staying in the Word of God and depending on God's, depending on what God has provided for us to survive these times. Okay. When we say the Word of God, we're talking about the truth. There's something about the Word of God, the truth, that truly does something to the cells within our body. And I believe in my heart that that is the one weapon of the main weapon of defense that we have, is to believe in every word of God. Okay, every word of God that He says, and to hold on to that as to be our only weapon of defense. So, against all the odds, okay, all the biological weapons that are coming against us, okay, I believe in sound. And the reason why I believe in sound is because the children of Israel were able to use sound to destroy cities. But they also use sound to build tabernacles and cities. So you can use sound for either one. And so obviously, our so-called enemy learned that sound can be used that way, and they're using it against us instead of to benefit us. And that's why the Ark of the Covenant was an important instrument of power, because it amplifies sound. And there's only one tribe that can truly, that's authorized to use it, and that's the tribe of Levi. and no one else can. So that's why no one can bring it out. No one can use it. So that's one of the reasons why I believe in sound. Besides, there's other people that have discovered that you can cure, you can actually cure cancer with sound. That's how powerful sound is. So these signals that are being emitted in our air are very harmful, and I've just been dealing with that on a daily basis, and it has really affected my ability to work. It has affected my heart, my heart condition. But like I said, I'm holding on to God's healing every day, and I'm using what He has provided for my well-being. And I share that with my wife, and I'm hoping to share that with you all, my family, and loved ones, friends, and just people, my neighbors around the world. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that uh, uh, hearing these sounds, especially at nighttime, comes in very clear. So I have sleepless nights. When I can't sleep. It's just gonna take me just falling out, literally. Like that's how I go to sleep. Not unless I take something to induce my sleep. And what I noticed that as I'm watching television, there are so many commercials that come on right now. They're talking about you can't sleep, well, you can take this particular drug, or you can take this medication. It's like they're telling us that there is something that is happening to everybody, and is affecting a lot of people. And here it is that they're encouraging people to use something to help them go to sleep. Okay? You have to use something just to go to sleep, some kind of medication. And I mean, this is just where we're at right now. This is what we're dealing with. So just imagine now having sleepless night. I mean, years ago, I actually had insomnia. Well, I only could sleep 3 or 4 hours, and then I'm up. And I didn't realize that what I'm talking about now was happening then, and that's how it was affecting me. I just couldn't understand why I can't sleep like a regular normal person. And we all know how important to get sleep is to us, for the body to rest, rejuvenate itself, rebuild itself. Has to be at rest. But if your body is constantly under attack while it's doing what it's supposed to be doing for the organs, and doing what it's supposed to be doing just for you to function on every day to fulfill your responsibilities and activities, and you're not getting a proper rest, it's almost like you're working against yourself, okay? Until the point where your body is broken down. And so that's what happened to me when I found out I had congestive heart failure. I was trying to figure out, how did I get there? How did I get to this place? It wasn't making any sense to me. Because I believe in being healthy, eating healthy, living a healthy life, and following as much as the guidelines and the rules. But yet, my gallbladder was taken, and then I finally got congestive heart failure at age 50. How sad. So this is an epidemic what we're going through, and I'm pretty sure now with me explaining, having a better explanation and having more information to relate to, especially giving you the sound that I'm hearing constantly in my head, I'm hoping that this will give you a much better perception of what my crisis or what I'm going through. We all know how important to get sleep is to us, for the body to rest, rejuvenate itself, rebuild itself. Has to be at rest. But if your body is constantly under attack while it's doing what it's supposed to be doing for the organs and doing what it's supposed to be doing just to for you to function on every day to fulfill your responsibilities and activities, and you're not getting a proper rest, it's almost like you're working against yourself, okay? Until the point where your body is broken down. And so that's what happened to me when I found out I had congestive heart failure. I was trying to figure out, how did I get there? How did I get to this place? It wasn't making any sense to me. Because I believe in being healthy, eating healthy, living a healthy life, and following as much of the guidelines and the rules. But yet, my gallbladder was taken, and then I finally got congestive heart failure at age 50. How sad. So this is an epidemic what we're going through, and I'm pretty sure now with me explaining, having a better explanation and having more information to relate to, especially giving you the sound that I'm hearing constantly in my head, I'm hoping that this will give you a much better perception of what my crisis or what I'm going through. So now for those of you who has an interest in the science behind all of this, I just want to bring some information to your attention. Okay, when I was working on that project, where I explained to the owner about the high amounts of electromagnetic frequencies that are in that area, and they were asking me, hey, what could we do about that? You know, because they already bought the property and they would like to protect themselves. So I said I would do the research. So this is what I was led to. God is amazing. He can get you in tune to whatever it is that you want and desire to know. And so I assumed that aluminum probably would be able to block some of the electromagnetic frequencies. They call it EMFs, okay? And to my surprise, that is the case, okay? That is the case. So I'm going to read to you, this is coming from a website called Defender Shield, and listen to the question. This is what I asked, and this is what popped up in my feed when you do the Google search. Does aluminum foil block electromagnetic fields? So here we go. Does aluminum foil block electromagnetic fields? These are two different types of, let's call it signals, okay? All right? So the electromagnetic fields is the same thing, electromagnetic frequencies, okay? All right. So aluminum, this is what it says, by Defender Shield. I can't give it the exact address, but aluminum, the material that tin foil is made up of, it does conduct radio frequency. So it can do that. But as a result of that, it can block wireless EMFs, wireless electromagnetic fields. Its effectiveness depends upon how strong the EMF source is. Okay, so you did catch that all electromagnetic fields has a source. That's very important. Okay, so it just depends on how strong the EMF source is and how much foil is used. Okay, so this is one way that you can actually block electromagnetic frequencies. So this information I will be sharing with the owner about what they can do for themselves. Okay,
So here's another definition. This is taken from the EMF Academy. Isn't that amazing? They actually set up an electromagnetic field academy. Okay. And same question, does aluminum foil protect against EMF radiation? So I'm reading, the person is responding to the question. It says, I get this question fairly often, so I wanted to look into it. First of all, to answer your question, yes, aluminum foil, much like aluminum mesh, will shield against most wavelengths radio frequency radiation. Even better, aluminum foil is super cheap. Now, let's dive into this a bit deeper and find out how and why aluminum foil blocks radiation. Also, I would love for you to take just a minute and check out Nicholas Pinault's groundbreaking ebook, A Non-Tinfoil Guide to EMFs. It is the most entertaining and informative book on EMF radiation you'll ever read. So the name of that book is A Non-Tinfoil Guide to EMFs. Okay. Now, here's what's interesting. Before I came across all this information, in 2018, when I felt like my head was being fried, like I felt like my head was in a microwave and I couldn't sleep. I felt like something was going through my head and making it like boil, okay? And that's when I said, what is in this area? At the time, I was living in Spartanburg, and I was trying to figure out what is in this area in our atmosphere that is affecting me like this. So that's when I went out to look around at just something strange up in our air, and I literally was led to these 5G towers, what we call 5G towers, that were lined up. Okay, when I say they were lined up in an order, it wasn't just one or two or three. There was like 4 rows of, let's say about 5, all lined up. It was the weirdest thing. And then I was like, what are these poles? They're not even connected by electricity. They're not connected to each other. I'm like, what is this? And I was trying to figure that out. Then I said, okay, so if these poles are there, they must be giving off some type of signal or maybe radiation. So that's when I went to obviously Google, and I looked at, you know, what did I pull up? I was like, is there radiation in the area where I was? Or is there some type of, oh no, I think this is what I put up. Is there radiation management or control in the area I was? Because I knew it was radiation that was being transmitted. And here's the strange thing about that particular area. Okay. I noticed that the majority of people there that goes into the convenience stores, gas station, everybody eat ice for some reason. They eat ice. Like they're always going, they're not getting liquids, they're not getting juice. So many people like, hey, just give me a cup of ice. I hear it very often. I heard it around the family that I was with. I heard it from strangers. Everybody's always eating ice. And I was like, why are people here eating ice? Well, here's what I discovered, okay? Just think about it. If you have huge amounts of radiation that's coming through you, okay, that's a lot of fire. That's a lot of energy that's coming. That makes you hot. You got to cool off. Well, innately, they knew to eat ice as a cooling agent for them to deal with whatever's happening in the atmosphere. So just want to put that in there. So when I went now to look to see if there's any type of management for radiation, to my surprise, there was a nuclear reactor plant mind you, not one, two, that had started to be built, and they stopped. They stopped the project. I forgot what year, what time. You can look it up for yourself. It's near Columbia, South Carolina. That's literally only an hour away from where I was in Spartanburg. Okay, so that means that if they had a nuclear reactor plant, right, and they abandoned that project, okay, what was the element that they had? What was the nuclear reactor element that they had? And was it being controlled? What amounts that escaped from there? So that's kind of remarkable. When I asked the locals, did anybody know that there was a nuclear reactor plant that got shut down just within 2 hours from there? And they told me no. They did not know that South Carolina had a nuclear reactor plant that shut down. Isn't that interesting? Such a big project like that, you would think there'd be an announcement or anything. So I assume that there is large amounts of radiation that escaped there, or whatever element escaped there, and that was being emitted into our atmosphere, and it was being charged by these towers that I just found, which I didn't know what they were, these towers at the time. We're calling it 5G towers now, but I didn't know what they were at the time. So I asked a lot of folks if they're experiencing what I'm experiencing, and no one was. I mean, there was one lady that said, yeah, I hear the ringing. I hear the ringing all the time. I said, okay. So we had one person that I could identify, that can identify with what I was going through. Okay. And as you can tell, I'm doing much better now because I'm like quick at thinking. Whereas before, my other message, it took me some time because it really interferes with your ability to process things and explain, just to process information, whether you're sharing or receiving. Okay. So you could be selling me something. I'll ask you 2 or 3 times. I don't get what you're saying. You're not realizing there's a lot of interference going on in my head. Okay. So anyway, so I'm going to go and continue to read now. Just want to put that in there because there's a book out there called A Non-Tinfoil Guide to EMFs. So he continues to say aluminum foil does block or shield radio frequency waves. Since the aluminum is a conductor of electricity, it forms a barrier often called a Faraday cage, entirely stopping the radio waves. Oh, so I forgot to mention, in order for me to deal with that at the time, in order for me to sleep, you can ask my best friend, okay? I called him and told him what I was going through, and I told him what I had to do. I created a hat out of aluminum foil. That was the point I wanted to get to. I created a whole hat out of aluminum foil just for me to sleep at night. Isn't that something? Now, how did I know to do that? Okay? Because I was being led to do that. That's how strong our God is, that he'll put things in your spirit that you did not know or was not aware of. But because you're connected, he leads and guides you through that. So that's what I did at nighttime at times in order to be able to sleep. So going back to the reading, so he was saying that the aluminum, it forms a barrier often called a Faraday cage, and it entirely stops the radio waves. Okay, so he said you can try this for yourself. Just get a large sheet of aluminum foil, lay it out flat, set your cell phone on top, and wrap it up, and try calling it. The phone won't have any signal. Okay, these radio waves are a form of EMF radiation, so electromagnetic field radiation. The aluminum foil acts as a barrier and completely blocks those waves. Now, if you heard of Faraday cage before, it's essentially just a structure, often made of a wire mesh of a metal like aluminum that completely blocks radio and microwave radiation. Now, the thickness of the metal does not matter. The super thin aluminum foil will work just as well as a thick and heavy sheet of metal. The important factor is that there are no holes larger than the shortest wave length of the radio or microwaves entering. Of the radio or microwaves trying to enter. Okay, so he's saying that if you have a look at your own microwave, almost every microwave window has a subtle metal mesh layered in there. This is a Faraday, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Faraday cage material like aluminum, okay, made small enough that the microwave radiation can't exit. Okay, aluminum foil would work well for these purposes, but a better option would be aluminum screening as, I'm sorry, kind of missed my place. That's the thing moving. Okay, aluminum screening would be a better option as it is used in the video below. So they have a video below. So you can go to this website, emfacademy.com, and you'll find this information there. This screening will effectively block both RF radiation as well as microwave radiation. However, you do need to remember that although aluminum does block EMF radiation, it does not absorb it. So RF and microwave EMF radiation travel in straight lines. Therefore, you are only protected if there's material capable of blocking the radiation directly between you and the source of the radiation. So, okay, of course there's more to read, but if you just look at it like, as you're walking every day, there's large amounts of radiation that's coming through you because it's coming straight as a straight line versus the radiation coming straight down. Okay, so it's not coming vertical, it's going horizontal. That's what makes it so harmful for us. Okay, so all right, I think I've read enough on that one. So I was looking for another article that explains that our cell phones definitely has, it gives off electromagnetic radiation. They call it EMRs, okay? And that's why they consider it very dangerous. If you keep it in your pocket, don't put it in your near your chest or your breast area, because that will it will affect different parts of your body. Okay, for the men it can make you sterile, and for the women it can cause cancer. You know what I'm saying? If they keep their phone near the breast or chest area. So all that being said is what we're dealing with on a daily basis. And my God, I'm telling you, I'm just trying to have a good sense of humor, wake up every day and get through this. This is so serious, family and friends, loved ones. I mean, this is so serious. And I literally am going through it, okay, technically because, you know, it makes me weak. It takes my energy, zaps my energy. I got to build my immune system back up. I'm not sleeping enough at night. So again, you're not getting enough rest. How can you rebuild yourself? So there's so much coming against us. So it's, like I said, it's just by the grace of God I'm still alive. I'm thankful for that. And so I drink a lot of sea moss. I do a lot of moringa. I try to get that in my system because it has almost a complete amount of nutrition that a body needs, that your body needs to function on a daily basis. So that's what's helping me a lot. So I'm right now, us being aware that this is what's happening is so important. And I just want to thank you for your time and for listening to this. And please feel free to talk with me if you like. And, you know, I'm here. I'm here. Okay? God bless you all. May we all be healthy, and may we prosper, and may we live long. God bless.